Hey guys, it's your girl Miss G, and you're watching Miss G Talk on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's G time. It's time to get up, get active, and get it together. My purpose is to give advice, encourage change, and empower success. The goal is to help us grow, elevate, and excel together. Everyday action is required for change. You have the power to create change. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of mental health and adapting to the lifestyle changes that we all have had to endure during this pandemic. Many of us have had to change our daily routines. Some of us are now working from home, homeschooling our children, while others have faced layoffs, unemployment, financial hardships, and our frontline workers are out there risking their lives every single day and dealing with the stress of spreading this virus to their family and loved ones. And we truly want to keep them in our prayers and just give you an encouraging message to say thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing. We pray that you continue to stay safe, and we just send our love and our warm wishes to you during this time. While our stories are all different, there is so much that we can do to help each other during this difficult time. How we adapt and what we're doing in this time is so important for our growth and our mental health. With that being said, today we're going to talk to a good friend, a sister in Christ to me. Her name is Pastor Adriana Money, and she's going to share her story and give advice and tips to help encourage you to use your time wisely during this pandemic. If you have struggled with the question of asking yourself, who am I? Where am I going in life? What am I doing? How can I use this time to find myself and my purpose? This episode is for you. You are going to find some ways to help cope during this time. We're going to talk about this transition and ways to manage your time through discipline and setting a healthy routine. So go ahead and get you a piece of paper and a pencil, because you're going to want to write down these notes. You're going to want to take notes, and you're going to want to apply this to your daily life. Go ahead, push pause, get your pencil, your piece of paper and your pencil, and get ready. I guarantee you'll be blessed by what she's going to share. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. It's G time. So, hello, Adriana.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you today.
I am so excited to have you. I've told everybody a little bit about who you are, but I left it to you to really tell them who you are and say hello to everyone.
Okay, hi everybody. I am Adriana Money. I am a mom to three beautiful kiddos, a wife to Kevin Money. We've been married almost 14 years in December. I am a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a business owner. I am a pastor. And my, I think, most favorite of all is that I'm a daughter of God. And honestly, who I am as a person is just somebody that truly has a desire to speak and breathe life into people and to see them break through and to bloom to their fullest potential. So I'm super excited to just encourage people today and to really share our hearts back and forth with one another. I know some of your stories, so I'm super duper excited to share that wisdom back and forth with each other. And then hopefully your listeners today can be blessed as well.
Absolutely. I am so excited to share with them what you have. It has definitely helped me in my life, and everyone who follows me know that I say it's G time. It's time to get up, get active, and get it together. And we're
Come
gonna
on.
do that. We're gonna grow, elevate, and excel together. And that is my purpose, is to give you tips and advice on ways to grow, practical things, because we're everyday women, right?
That's
We're
right.
here. We're doing this. So I
That's
am
right.
so excited. So I was talking about, I told them that today we're going to talk about time management, routine schedules, all of those things, and give them some tips on how to better manage their time and to do things for themselves.
Yes.
Before we get into what you have to share with everyone, I want to talk about your routine before COVID and kind of a little bit about your background history and how you got to what you're going to share with everybody today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have been a corporate woman. One of those hats that I wore for a very long time was a corporate world hat,
Okay.
and I really enjoyed being in that field. I was able to travel and lead multiple offices and teams. It definitely was a blessing on my life, but in business, things happen, right? So, approximately 2 years ago, I was laid off from my corporate job after being with my company for a long time, and it was a very difficult transition
Mm.
for really being a corporate woman, right? And going through those experiences to now really being in this new phase of my life, I really had to kind of find out, who am I in this new season? And in all honesty, I think that, as we're going through this COVID time pandemic, right? A lot of the people that are going through this pandemic as well could be asking that same thing, right?
Right.
It's been a lot of people who have been either laid off or furloughed, or their businesses are closing down, right? Because
Right.
they're not able to conduct their businesses. We have a dance company that works out of schools. That's our family business, and we haven't been able to do that because of this pandemic. So there's definitely a lot of transition that is happening during this time.
Right.
And I feel like I have gone through two different seasons. There's always a season that's
Right.
changing, right? You're always
Right.
coming out of something and you're always going into something. But I feel like very recently I've gone through two different seasons of transition. And the first season of transition that I went through was being laid off from my corporate job. And that one, I always ask the question now, right? Are you growing through something, or are you going through it, right? Are you
Right.
going
Right.
through it? Are you growing through it? And I feel like during my first transition, when I was laid off from my corporate job, I entered into this phase of really kind of seeing that a lot of my identity and how I saw myself was tied into this corporate woman and everything that I did for my company. And I really had to say, who am I now?
Right.
Right. And at the very foundation, at the very core of it, I knew that. I knew who I was, right? I knew that I was God's child. I knew that I was an amazing woman. I knew that I was a wife. I knew that I was a mom. I knew that I was, supporting in our family business. But there was a identity that was shaken inside of me. And so during that season, I was going through it.
Right.
I into a place of just sadness, really, bordering depression. I was
Yeah.
depressed. I felt like a big part of, a financial impact I was causing because of my layoff and into my
Mm-hmm.
family. So there's fear, right?
Right.
Same thing. We're going through, COVID. And so people are shifting, they're transitioning, they're being laid off from jobs, their business might be shutting down, schools are not there, you've got your kids, you're thinking, how am I going to provide, right? And so you think, how am I going to provide for my children? So this was definitely something that I, experienced during that time. And I thought, how is this going to happen? How
Right.
are we going to make it through to the other side? And so I went through it, right? I
Right.
went through it. I went through it instead of growing through it.
Right.
And so that was a really difficult season that I look back now, and I know that we go through all things for a specific reason, right? But if I could definitely share one key takeaway in the difficult seasons, and I know that we'll talk more about it, but really use that time wisely.
Right.
Use that time wisely, instead of allowing yourself to be in this dark place, which I was, right? So I can completely understand. Know that God is always giving you an opportunity.
Right.
to redefine, right? To dream again, to hear
Mm-hmm.
his voice, to really seek direction. Everything always works out. It
Right.
does. And as a matter of fact, most of the businesses that have started, right, that are like really big multi-billion dollar businesses started during recessions, right? So
Right.
if there's anything in that, know that there's encouragement in that as well.
Yes, I think that so many people out there can identify with your story and relate to you. I know me myself, I can relate to you. I've been there. I'm still there. But instead of just going through it this time, I'm growing through it. I've been
Yeah,
through it many, many times before. And you get to this place where sometimes it's like, oh, a new season again, another change. And you may not really take into account the lesson from the last season, so you're just going through it.
come on.
But in this season, I myself, I'm growing through it. So again, I understand being in corporate America and having this job, having these titles, being important in that place, and then it
Yes,
all being gone just like that. And you're
that's
sitting
exactly
there
right.
wondering, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Am I bringing anything important into the home other than being the homemaker and the wife and the mother? You start to lose your identity, even though
That's right.
those are your hats and those are the things you do well, you still start to say, well, what about me? What am I doing for me? Because
That's
we
right.
can get so caught up in doing everything for our families and our homes, and by the end of the day, we're completely exhausted and worn out, and we're still thinking, well, what did I do for me today?
Yeah.
Or sometimes
Yeah.
we don't even think that we're important enough to have a me for the day.
That, that's exactly right. Yeah, I think two things that you said that I think that are so important when we're going through these difficult seasons, right, of transition. Number one, we don't value what we do, right, for the home, right? We don't value how we pour into our children, how we care for our home. We don't value those things. The amount of wealth that we can bring into, making our home beautiful and taking care of our children and loving them and doing all of those things. That's number one. And then number two, that you said also, which I feel like I have lived in this place for so long.
Mm,
Um, just very transparently, right? Where so much of what I have done has really just been taking care of my children, taking care of my husband, taking care of the career that God gave me, taking care of ministry and people and serving them and loving them and pouring into them. But at the end of the day, right, when you go through a transition like this and
mm-hmm.
everything is shaken, right? At the end of the day, there has to be a little bit of self love that is there,
Yeah,
right? And if we're
absolutely.
not pouring into that self love, if we're not pouring into that caring for ourselves, if we're not pouring into that perspective, right? If we're not having those moments, like you said, your me time, right? Where you're doing that. When things like this happen, then you're just rocked because
Right.
you're like, I can't go to work now. My finances are off. What is it? What's going to happen? My kiddos are at home all day. Here we go. My kiddos are at
Made
home
it.
all day long, right? Now I definitely don't have any time, right?
Right.
Whatsoever. Talk about it. Come
If you
on.
thought the transition from going from working into corporate America and then becoming a full-time homemaker was hard, then to throw in COVID-19, and we're all quarantined and we're home together. I thought
Come
my
on.
schedule was absolutely ridiculous before this happened.
Right.
And I was
Right.
still, before COVID, I was already into a transition of just moving to a new state and now becoming a full time homemaker. So I
Right.
was already in the process of getting my routine together, my schedule together. And there are some days it was like I did everything in a day, and there are other days where I did nothing in a day because I didn't know what to
Right.
do. I didn't have anything planned. I knew everybody got taken care of. That was first.
Right.
But then,
Your
I got
clothes, the
3 hours,
egg.
right? 3 hours before I have to pick up the next child. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? The house is clean, everybody's fed.
Come
Now what?
on. That's
And
right.
that's when that depression and that anxiety and those doubts and Lord, what am I here for?
That's right.
I'm not even bringing in any income anymore. Now
Come
we have
on.
to figure out how to kind of downsize and save and budget a little different.
That's
But
right.
do I bring any value or am I just here taking care of everyone?
That's right.
Those
That's right.
things come into our head.
Yeah, no, I completely, golly, I completely agree. I feel like during my first transition, right, that was everything that I thought about also, right? What else can I do within this home, right? I'm really letting my family and my husband down. Um, God, please, help us, right? Let us not
Right.
lose our home, right? Let us not lose our vehicles. How are we going to see through this? And I think that during this time, these are very real feelings that
Yeah.
people are feeling.
Yeah.
They're very real fears, right?
Yeah.
But what I can say from my perspective is that God works all things out, right?
Yes.
He sees us all through, and that everything that we go through is for a purpose, right?
Right.
Everything, every experience that we had, every moment is so that we can breathe life and encouragement, into other women, right? So that we can tell them, you know what, I have been through this, right? And
Right.
Crystal has been through this, and we know that you can get through this too. We can really encourage people to really see them through to the other side. I feel like now that going through that with a little bit of perspective, this second go round, right, this
Right.
second round, this second transition that I've been in my life, I'm grateful for it. I truly, truly am, because I've experienced what it's like to go through a difficult season. It's not the first one that I've gone through, and it's certainly not going to be the last, right?
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful that I've had perspective of how to properly use my time and how to not use my time, right?
Yes.
How to see the value now, right? Instead of just saying, I'm just at home, I'm just washing dishes, I'm just, picking up, my kids, I'm just playing games with them. I see value in that, right?
Right.
I'm thankful for that. Instead of just being in this kind of dark place, right? So many times we associate, being in a dark place, right, with kind of darkness and
Right.
being stifled, right? But flowers bloom right through the darkness, right? The
Mm-hmm.
darkness of the dirt, right? So this is an opportunity that we're getting now. If I can
Right.
associate to my previous season, right, to this new season, this silence, this moment. You and I, talked about this before, Crystal, and I'll mention this here too. I feel like one of the biggest things that, my life prior to the pandemic, my life prior to, previously with being a corporate woman, was so much busyness, right?
Right.
So much busyness,
Right.
so much going on, right? And we can accomplish these such great things, right? What we do for the corporate world, what we do for the kingdom, what we do for the families, we can accomplish these amazing, amazing things, right? But at the end of the day, right, what is it that we have poured into ourselves, right?
Right.
The business of life. I feel like the gift that I have seen in this stillness, right, is that I have been able to really focus on seeking Him instead
Right.
of being in a dark place just for depression, right? I'm choosing to be in this stillness, seeking His voice. I'm choosing to be in this stillness, right? Really thinking about the trajectory of my life and where to go next, right? What goal to accomplish. Really bettering myself, my health, my emotion, self care, and self wellness, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
health. These are all opportunities, right? That when we go through a transition, we have, but it's a matter of perspective and
Right.
choosing, right? And seeing our worth. You alluded to this when we talked about last time. You said it, not alluded. Our self worth is so
Yes.
important.
Yes.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that women need is just to know that
Absolutely.
they're worth it.
And I know that I take time in the day for myself because I'm worth it. And I say it over and over again when I feel like I'm guilty of, or making myself feel guilty because I'm taking that quiet time, or I'm taking that time for myself, because we do that as women and
Come
as
on.
people. We will make ourselves feel guilty for doing something for ourselves. We have We'll take the word selfish and now say, oh, well, I'm being selfish if I do something for myself. But now
Mm,
I've changed that into positive words of saying, I am worth it. I am taking this 15 minutes to exercise because I'm worth it. I'm
that's
taking this
right.
5 minutes away from everyone because I'm worth it.
That's right.
And we do, as parents, we teach our kids that they're worth it. We tell them that they're worth it. We give
Come
them
on.
all of the positive self-talk that they don't even
Come on.
understand yet, right?
That's
And
right.
at the same time, we don't model it.
That's right.
We
Come
are
on.
sitting there so busy that we don't even have time to make a meal in the middle of the day. We'll go through 3 cups of coffee and then be like, oh, I didn't eat today.
That's
But when our
right.
kids come home, did you eat
Not
lunch?
enough
Did you
water.
eat your snack? Did you?
Come on.
We're on them to do the things that we know is important for them, for their growth, for their development. But at the
That's right.
same time, we're not giving that to ourselves.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's so funny. When I first got married, my husband, this is such a silly story, but my husband used to like this specific shampoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
The years passed, and with 3 children, like I always felt like, you know what, that shampoo is really super expensive, right? It is not worth it, right? Even though I paid twice that amount for the shampoo for my daughter's hair. But I remember just, a month ago, he was like, I really like that shampoo. And I realized that for me, I've carried this guilt, even just down to the shampoo. And this can be anything, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
shampoo, having some time to scrub your feet, right? To give yourself a pedicure, to read a
Right.
book, exercise, right? The shampoo story can be anything for any woman that you
Right.
feel guilty, right, for having that. And that guilt is so real. That
Mm-hmm.
guilt is so real. But if we don't allow that and give that time to realize that we are worth it, that it is an investment into ourselves, into our future, into our emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health, just that one little thing, that we're going to be depleted, right? We're going to come to the end of a rough patch, right? We're going to come to a difficult season, and we're not going to have anything to give. I always use this analogy, but if you're on an airplane and the airplane's going down and the masks come down, right? The mask comes down, they tell you, put it on yourself first.
First.
We are depleting ourselves of self care, self love, right? The attention that we need and the attention that we deserve. God created our temples, right?
Right.
We take care of everybody else's temple,
Right.
the everybody else's temple. But what about ours? With drinking water, right? With getting enough rest, with exercising, with doing the things that we need to do in order to better ourselves so that we can be better for every other person that's in our life, right?
Absolutely.
There this time is just the perfect time for that. It really,
Right.
really is if we have that perspective.
I agree. I agree. So I have a question for you, PA, and that's
Yeah,
Pastor Adriana for short.
yeah, yeah.
How has this transition changed your routine?
Oh my goodness. This second transition, this second season of my life has truly changed drastically. And it's been by intention. I've decided to grow through this different phase of my life, this transition that our world is in. And it's been for the better, to be honest with you. Before, I would be led kind of by my schedule, right? Where it was that, we were going where I had to be at, whether it was work, whether it was church, whether it was running, my kids, to where they needed to be. And this season now, I'm doing a morning routine that really starts my emotional, my mental, my physical health in such a good way.
Hmm.
It really sets me on a good path, and I'm grateful for that. On top of that, I'm super duper intentional with the time that I have with my daughter.
Right.
I'm really practicing saying yes to her. And
Nice.
what I mean by that is when she approaches me and says, Mom, can we do a face mask tonight? So many times I've caught myself saying, I'm tired, I've got this going on, I've got to go here, I've got to go there. And so I'm being really intentional with my yes to her, right? She's asked me, can we do a painting party, right? Can we do that? And so I'm really practicing that yes time with her during the season because I realize that so much of her interaction, right, that she would have at church or that she would have at school or during those times, she doesn't have that. So I am a
Right.
part of that interaction for her. So that has changed as well. So definitely my self care,
Mhm.
my intentionality with my prayer life and my reading of the Word and my relationship with my daughter. It's a huge change, an intentional change.
That's awesome. That just gives me even more to say, you know what? I need to do that. My kids ask for pedicure and manicure all the time, and we will make excuses as to why we can't do those things. Even in a time like this, in a quarantine when we really don't have much to do, and
Right.
even though we still have a lot to do, we still can find time to do it being in the home.
That's right.
So I think
Yes.
that is absolutely awesome.
I, I I think so many times like I think this is a point of reference for me, and it's something that's so I don't want to say recent. I don't think that that's the right word, but it's really impressed on my heart. I'll just say it
Right.
that way, because I just had a senior graduate, right?
Yeah.
And high school is done, and in the blink of an eye, I realized that my daughter is going to be graduating from high school also, right? So I think that that's why that answer is a little different for me now, because of how much time. And so there's this gift that we're getting again, right? That
Right.
for a common thread, right? This time, this quietness, this stillness, the canceling of all of the busyness that we've had, to just say, how can I enjoy every single moment of this time with my kids and
Right.
with self, right? That's so it's been good. It's been really good.
I love that you say we have been given a gift, and I see it that way too. Not being busy, not being busy like I was has been such a gift for me in this time. Being able to see my kids every single day as they grow, and being able to give them different tools and techniques to use before we open back up and get back out there has been really great for me. I they probably just think I'm the hovering mom and the helicopter mom. I want to keep them all to myself, but sometimes I do. I just want to keep them to myself, and because
Yes,
I know that this world has so much out there for them, so I'm using this time wisely to pour into them and
that's
to
right.
encourage them and to give them the strength that they need when they get back out there. This is a
Come
gift
on,
for me.
come on. It is. You said something earlier. You said we speak all of these affirmations and prayers, and life lessons over our kids. And maybe at this stage, they don't even realize what we're doing. But one day they will.
Right.
One day they look back and they're going to see my mom, loved me and she spent time with me and she poured into me. And she did all of these things during this quarantine time, right?
Right.
And our relationship was all the stronger for it. There's life lessons that kids are learning now that we're able to directly be a part of, in that, in a
Absolutely.
world they might have not have seen so much of us, right? if
Right.
we're if we're talking to the working woman, if we're talking to the mom that is doing ministry, that's doing work, that's doing school, that's doing all of these things, we might have been so busy for our self-care and sometimes even for spending quality time with our kiddos, right?
Right.
We're getting that during this time also, and they'll remember that. I really think they will.
Absolutely. My favorite is when they go around the house saying to each other, "It's G time."
Ah,
I'm like,
Is that what
yes.
you call your family time?
Oh, yeah, they'll say it's G time. It's time to get up, get active, and get it together.
Oh yes, come on, get up. I'm stealing that. I'm gonna tell myself, get up, get active, and get it
Get it
together.
together.
Okay.
So we've been talking about time management and routines and
Yeah,
schedules and how we have developed, something for ourselves during this time. So I'm going to ask
yes.
you, what have you done to keep yourself disciplined during this time? And what can you share to help others who may be struggling to find purpose during this time for themselves?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about that. And I'm going to continue with kind of this. I'm going to continue with this theme of prior to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of after that. So when I went through my first transition, being laid off from the corporate world, um, I was getting up and just going with the flow, right? No structure to my day, being in this kind of like depressed state, right? Taking my daughter to school, picking her up, doing the very, minimum, right? Because you're in this place where, sadness, consumes you, right? You feel like there's no hope. You feel like, and people can very, very, very much so feel
Mm.
that way during this season,
Oh,
right? The
absolutely.
businesses are closed, you don't have people interaction, you might have been laid off or furloughed or can't work, your businesses might be shut down, all of those things, right? And so you can feel like you're just going through it instead of growing through it. That was
Right.
prior to. And one of the things that I realized in kind of my introspect of both of these seasons in my life is that even though I was able to accomplish so many things prior to my layoff, right? I was able to accomplish, things for the corporate world. I was able to accomplish, things for, ministry. I was able to accomplish things for a business. I wasn't able to accomplish things for myself. And I really
Mm.
had to be honest and say, what is it that's causing that? And I realized that there was some discipline, self discipline on my end that I really needed to work on.
Yeah.
We talked about this a lot, right? We can say we can do all of these things for other people, but that's really what it like comes all the way down to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self enough for yourself, to say, I'm worth it. I'm worth accomplishing these goals. I'm worth being, fit. I'm worth it. My family needs me to be it. Right. And so at that season, let's jump forward, right? I've come out of this place, right? My God is absolutely amazing. I'll share this story too, so that you can kind of hear that middle part as well. I was the breadwinner in my family, right? And my husband would do ministry, business, and a corporate job as well. Well, God transitioned that. God gave him favor and absolutely catapulted him into the career that he was supposed to be in, right? With
Right.
an amazing company that grew him. All of this time, right? I was so scared. I was thinking, what's going to happen to our home? What's going to happen to our finances? What's going to happen to my car? I'm in this depressed state. I'm in this dark place. I'm not growing through it. I'm going through it. And God's like, I've got something for you on the other end. Just watch, right? And so he flipped it. He flipped it, right? He catapulted my husband's career, our finances, right? Our business grew so that we could help other people and take care of our family as well, right? Ministry continued, right? Or we continued to serve God and do everything that we were doing. God restored, right?
Mm-hmm.
God restored. I had to choose. I had to really choose. Do I want my thoughts, right? At that time, do I want them? Our thoughts are like a garden, right? We choose to either let our thoughts grow us and grow like weeds or like flowers, right?
Mm.
So at that time, I had to make that mental choice. So let's fast forward. God brought me through. I was growing a lot of weeds at that time. I'm just going to keep it real, right? I really, really was. Lots of weeds
Oh, I
until at
know.
the very end, the Lord just had to be like, look at what I was able to do for you, right? Just have faith. So here
Mm.
we go. Next part, right? Next part that we're at. And the pandemic hits. And I'm thinking, oh my God, our business, right? We had to lay off a staff. I mean, basically, they're on furlough, right? A staff of 6 people, right? We're thinking of their families. We're thinking of our parents, we're thinking of 6 different schools that we have, campuses, all of that. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? What is going to happen to my husband's career, right? Is he going to be able to work? Are we going to be in this position again? And God said, wait, I got you.
Hmm.
I had I have you. I have you.
Right.
So at this point, I had to really make a decision and say, what am I going to do with this time? Because I'm working from home, right? Thank God I was able to continue to work from home. My daughter is here at home. But because of my negative association with the previous experience that I had gone through, mind you, I spent 13 years in the corporate world, right? Going into an office thinking that so much of what I was able to do and accomplish was tied into going somewhere, right?
Right.
My association with being at home is a negative one
Right.
because I what am I going to accomplish? What am I going to do? Am I going to be in this deep, dark, depressed state again? Even though I'm a believer, I'm going to be discouraged. Is that what's going to happen? Am I even going to be able to do a good job with my daughter going to school? I mean, these are very real things, right?
Absolutely.
But I had to make a decision to say, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. I'm going to grow through this instead of go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Lot that is happening in the world. I know that there are people who are losing loved ones and businesses that are being shut down, ours included, right? I know that there are people that are losing these jobs, but I know that there has got to be a better way to go through this, even in the midst of the chaos. And
Absolutely.
so at that time, I really felt two things, okay, a couple of things. Number one, and I mentioned this is my discipline. I really felt like the Lord was saying, I need you to be disciplined, not to accomplish everything else, but disciplined to take care of you. I'm trying to do something through you, for you, in you, right?
Mm.
Number one. Number two, I felt like very honestly, my prayer life was stunted. It was clogged. That's really the word that I used at the time, right? I was like, why does my prayer life feel like this, right?
Right.
What am I experiencing? And so through this time, I, was kind of talking to the Lord about it, and He led me to this amazing conference that was happening online, that was virtual, that I was able to jump on and be a part of, and this kind of kickstarted me onto this self care and really kind of focusing and using my time wisely and really heeding to the advice of what I already felt the Holy Spirit saying to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was discipline and my prayer life. And so I heard this guy, and his name is Hal. All right. How. And Hal talked about the miracle morning. And the miracle morning is something that completely changed my life. And it is not something that is new. It
Right.
is something that every single, person that hasn't tried in different ways. It's not something counselors don't recommend. It's not something that, that is just so transformational because of the process. But
Right.
I think it was a mentality, right? And I think it was a decision, honestly, Crystal, I think it was a decision to say, I'm worth it. I'm going to invest this time into myself and I'm
Right.
going to just try it and see what happens. And I'm going to pause right here because I know that I've been going for a
Oh no,
second.
it's
We
good.
can definitely talk about how all of the amazing things that have like come
Right.
out of it. Right.
I definitely agree with you, and I understand you in more ways than one. I'm listening to your story, and I know we've talked prior to this, but even when you speak again and I hear it again, it just every time you tell your story, I live in my story again, and
Come
I
on.
can identify and relate to you in so many ways of being the breadwinner, of having this busy life and going and going and going, and then it being like, wait, what are we going to do? But I see
Come on.
the blessing in it. My husband being from going to working freelance at home and being there with the kids, and me being at work all the time, to it completely changing around. And
Oh
now
my God.
he's
Yeah.
out in the work field. He's working in his field, and I am just so excited watching him. I'm grateful because I know he has worked so hard for this moment, for this chance, this opportunity, and at the same time feeling like, wait, but what do I do? What am I supposed to do now?
Come on.
And so that depression had really came into play. And I'm going, you can't have depression. You're a therapist. You teach people this.
On.
Yeah, but where was the self-care, and where was the self-worth of knowing that I can get through this? I was really finding myself to be I was going through the motions. And
Yes.
I started to take out that DSM-5 and diagnose myself like what is happening right now? Um,
Yes.
but it was exactly what you were talking about, that self-discipline and God speaking to me. Before
Come
this
on.
quarantine hit, oh, I had my schedule on lock. I was happy with my schedule. I found joy in being at home. I had time with God. I had time at the gym. I was writing my books. I was happy. Like, all right, this is what I can do, not being at work 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever, you know?
Come on.
And then the pandemic hit, and it wasn't the same reaction to the transition before. Now,
Yes.
before I was kind of in a panic mode. Well, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if we get to a new state and things change? And now that we're during the pandemic, where does that teaching job lead him? What's going to happen? But as soon as those thoughts came, this peace and this calming came.
Come on.
And I knew that I wasn't going to live the same way I did the
Come
last
on.
transition. I wasn't going to send myself into that depression and that anxiety. I was already saying scriptures before the thoughts could finish. Be anxious for
Come
nothing.
on.
I was already saying it. Nope. All things work together for the good for those who love the Lord. Nope, you can't get me
All
this time.
according to his
You are
purpose. Come
not
on.
going to get me this time. I went through it last time, but I'm going to grow through it this time, and we're going to use this
Yes.
time for our good. We are
Yes.
going to use it. And when I
Yes.
couldn't find the right words, then I pull up God Chasers, and I pull up my daily scripture. I pull up my daily quotes from Pastor Dante, or I would call my friends and say, "Hey, I need to hear a word. I need to hear something," because I refuse to go back to the same way of living.
Yes. Come on.
And that's
Yes.
how you and I got to where we are right now,
That's right.
and sharing this growth with other people who may be going through that difficult time and don't know how can I get out of this, or don't have a way of getting out of this.
That's
Like you
right.
said, the things that you're about to share, these aren't new. This
Right.
isn't this isn't something that someone just created out of nowhere. These are things that people are doing already, but may not have the structure,
That's right.
and they may not have it in the way that he's presenting it.
That's
And
right.
that's why I find it to be so awesome. And as soon as you shared it with me, I was like, we have to talk.
Yes.
I need you
Yes.
on Miss G Talk, and I need you to share this with other people.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, Hal Elrod is his name. And I'm just ever so grateful for just, coming across this. I literally I had to share it with every woman that receives the poor, right? Every woman that seeks the poor, every woman that receives the poor, every person, every woman that God has brought into my life. I'm like, let me tell you what happened, right? I got to tell you. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Crystal, and you and I both know this. We can tell people until we're blue in the face what amazing things have happened, right? I could, unless I'm ready to accept something,
Right.
unless I'm ready to embrace it, unless my mind has been renewed, right? Unless I'm ready to line that up, unless I'm ready, right? The results are not going to be different.
Right.
But if you choose to receive that, right, as something new that you can implement into your life, if you decide to say, I am worth it, right? If you decide to say, I'm not going to go through this, I'm going to grow through this, right? If you decide to say, right, that my thoughts are going to bloom, right, that they're not going to be weeds, I'm going to choose to implement this into my life, your life will change.
Right.
It absolutely will. It has been transformed for me, and I really pray that it happens like that for other people as well. I know it can.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's get into this
Yes.
morning miracle.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm super duper 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 excited. Okay. So, um, there's this quote that says that the flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest of all, right? We as women have the opportunity right now to bloom. We absolutely do. Even with our babies home, even with everything that we have going on, if we make a choice to say, I'm going to do something for me, to help myself, right? To care for myself, to love on myself, um, we're worth it. We are absolutely worth it. So, Hal Elrod, let's get into it, okay?
Okay.
Wrote this book called The Miracle Morning, The Not So Obvious Secret Guaranteed to Transform Your Life Before 8 a.m.
Nice.
And essentially, in the book, he talked about a couple of things. This is something that I kept hearing when I first hopped into that conference that I told you guys about. Right, there was like all these like speakers that come in. This conference is amazing. All right. So this guy, he used to be a youth pastor. He put it together. He ended up bringing in huge, this is totally God, right? Like totally God brought in all of these speakers in, $5 million, top speakers of the world. And this is what I heard. But as I was listening to some of these speakers talk, some of the really interesting things that I was hearing them say was that these top performing multimillionaire people implemented some of these routines, some of these things into their day and were able to be absolutely super productive, right? And so that some of these things started like, it was kind of a thread that was like being woven throughout the entire conference, right? And then here comes Hal Elrod. And I was like, wait a minute. What did you just say? Right? So he goes over this life savers routine, and it's basically an acronym SAVERS. 1 hour of your time, ladies. 1 hour of your time. Are you willing to dedicate 1 hour of your time to yourself before your kids wake up? Right? Before the day gets absolutely crazy, you can change it around, but I absolutely recommend doing this in the morning. You are so worth it. Before all of your kids come, before the day gets started, before having to cook meals, before having to do laundry, before having to get to work, right? Or being at home, start your morning off. The Bible says this, okay? The Bible says this, Psalm 63:1, seek him early in the morning. All of these things we're going to talk about, they all have a biblical perspective. It's not a Bible book, right? It's not, but all biblical perspectives, right? So this routine, SAVERS, S is for silence. A couple of things that I mentioned to you before, right? Number one, my prayer life was clogged.
Right.
I was feeling the Lord saying that to me. And the Lord showed to me, he said, why your prayer life is clogged because all you're doing is talking and you're not listening to me, right? That we do in this savers routine, that's the S, is to be silent and meditate. Now, so many people, depending on the audience that you're listening to, right, that is listening, might have a negative association with meditation. But the Bible says to meditate on the word, right? Meditate on the word. Number two, to sit down and actually listen to him. So we meditate for 5 minutes, 5 minutes of just stillness, 5 minutes of meditating on a scripture, 5 minutes of meditating on the goodness of God, 5 minutes of breathing and allowing the Lord to just wash over you and to start your day off in his presence. Early in the morning will I seek thee, right? That's what the word says. Number two, A is for affirmations.
Okay.
Bible is full of affirmations.
Absolutely.
So this 5 minutes, right? So this A for affirmation is 5 minutes. So what you do is you write down a list of affirmations that you're going to speak over yourself, right? What does the Bible say about you, right? What are some things that you want to work on? Honestly, for me, I already knew what it was, right? It was discipline, and it was all exercise, right? That was something that was important to me. Relationships, that was important to me. That was something that I really felt like the Lord was trying to work on in my life, right? I wrote affirmations based on the word of God, right? Affirmations declaring we build our words, our world with our words, right? Pastor Dante talks about this, right? So what are the affirmations that you are saying over yourself? You start off your morning for 5 minutes reading those affirmations over yourself. That's going to structure your day, right? The first time that I worked out, we're going to get down to exercise for a second and I'll tell this story in a second. But I remember thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This girl is trying to kill me. And then affirmation popped up in my head, right? I won't stop when I'm tired. I'm going to stop when I'm done. That's what I had wrote for myself. That's discipline. That's exercise. That's everything. And that affirmation popped up into the back of my head. And it was like, nope, you're not going to stop. You're going to keep
Right.
going.
Right.
Right. So I was like, okay, it's working. Right. I can tell you story after story. So that's SA, right?
Okay.
Silence. A for affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. The next one is V for visualization, right? Visualization. Yes. So write the vision, make it plain. Habakkuk 2:2, right?
Mm.
The Bible talks about what kind of writing down our goals, but in order to be able to write down our goals, we have to visualize those things, right? So,
Right.
what is God is telling us to do? Is the Lord impressing on your heart to go back to school? Is that the desire of your heart, right? Is your desire to travel, right? You got to get a passport, right?
Right.
So, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to accomplish fitness in your life, right? You're lean, light, fit, and tight. That's one of mine, right? I don't care about right. I just want to be strong, right? I want to be strong. I want to be healthy, right? So that is V for visualization. This is 5 minutes. So you do this. What is God laying on your heart, right? What is He laying on your heart? And then what are you going to focus on for your day, right?
Right.
You are visualizing your goals, and it helps with every decision that you make throughout your day. Every decision that you make throughout your day, your body ends up lining up to it.
Right.
One of mine is a gallon of water a day, right? I've
Mm.
been doing this every single day. And every single day, there's my gallon of water in my mind. If I'm like, okay, I want to drink some tea. Nope, nope, nope. My decisions
Water.
are visualizing, they're lining up to those specific decisions. Crystal, I know that you had a really cool suggestion on this too, right?
Right, right. I have a few things for the S, the A, the V, the E. And so I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Right above me, actually, if you can see it, this is my vision board. And we start at the beginning of the year, we make vision boards. And I have my kids do it, and my husband. We did this at the church, though. So I put
Yes,
my
you
vision
did. I
board
have
right
that too.
above my workspace, and I see it every day because this is the space that I'm in. And I look at what I put down, and I visualize what I want to accomplish. And I know that it takes steps to get there. So I'm doing it one step at a time. So I
That's
think
right.
that's awesome. And also part of therapy and counseling, when people came in to see me, that's one thing we worked on was their vision board. Where do you see yourself after this 6 months? What do you want to accomplish? Like you said before, we can give you the tools. However, it's on you to use them. And that is one thing that I tell people all the time, especially when they came into my office. I can give you every tool and technique that you need to help better yourself. But until you use it, nothing will change.
That's
And that
right.
is what I say in Miss G Talk as well. You have the power to create change. There
That's
are
right.
resources out here for you, but you have to be willing to apply it to your day to day in order to see those changes.
That's
So
right.
that visualization is excellent. And we also do guided imagery, um, to imagine what you want to see. So I think that's great.
Yes, yes. Come on, come on. See. So this is not new stuff, but
No,
again, if you make if you make a decision, right, and it's such just a good opportunity to know that other people are going through this with you, right? So your
right?
audience of Miss G Talks can say, okay, we're going through this together, right? You're going to have an accountability partner, somebody that's going to say, I'm walking through it, I've walked through it,
Yes.
right? We can do this. That makes a huge difference.
Right. And I give the tools that go along with everything that we've talked about. When you said S for silence, that
Yes.
lifesavers, right? We start with S, silence. We talk about mindful meditation. Meditation is great for your life. Okay. During meditation, you focus on your breathing. There are so many healthy benefits of meditation. And
That,
what you shared was 5 minutes. Yep, 5 minutes of meditation every day. So when we end this, I will send a link for mindful meditation, and I encourage people to do meditation.
yes.
And if you and when you can discipline yourself to do meditation, oh, you would just see the benefits in it. A lot of times our
Absolutely.
minds are still going and we're still thinking about all the things we need to do, and I should wash the dishes, or I need to put a load of clothes in, and I got to go put gas in the car, and I need to go grocery shopping. 5 minutes. Be quiet.
That's right.
And
Yes.
the one thing that you can focus on during that 5 minutes is your breathing. If when you're
Mhm.
breathing in and out, you're focused on that breath. So that means all those thoughts, they have to stop for a minute. You're just
Yeah.
focusing on your breath.
Yes. Your toxins.
Affirmations.
Yes.
The affirmations you talked about, positive affirmations. Awesome. Also behind me, you'll see this. I know you can't read it, but that is self talk. That's positive self talk. And I have to go through that list every day
Yeah.
and say
Yes.
those things to
Every
myself
day. Come
every
on.
day.
That's
Again,
right.
another quote of Miss G Talk: everyday action is required for change. So, yes, I have to say it every day. I have to
That's right.
remind myself that I'm worth it every single day.
Yes.
So, that was
Yes.
our S, the A, the V.
Yes. 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 Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. So the next one is E for exercise.
Oh,
So 3 minutes a day of exercise.
okay.
Just do it. You're so worth it. Just do it. Listen, when I tell you the amount of energy that I have gotten from implementing this into my morning, right? And it's a combination of everything that I have done, right? Seeking the Lord early in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeking the Lord for vision, seeking the Lord for wellness in my mind, my body, my heart, and my spirit. Really making the decision to say, I'm worth 20 minutes of exercise. I'm
Yes.
worth moving my body. I'm worth feeling better. I'm worth every single thing that I'm doing. You
Right.
can do you can do everything. You can walk. You can Zumba, right? You can do Pilates. You can do
Yes.
yoga. My favorites right now are yoga every other day, right? And then soca dance hall. That's what
Oh,
I've been doing.
nice.
Snowboarding, right? Every single day. I can send you 100, YouTube videos. You don't need to go out and buy, anything at
Right.
all. Start. Just say yes to yourself. And when you make that kind of commitment, right, to say, I'm worth it for just 1 hour to do this for myself, your mind, everything lines up, everything begins to line up. And from that self-love and self-care, you're able to then pour out to other people, right?
Yes.
I implemented this in the first couple of weeks. I cleaned my entire garage, every closet in my house, right? All my junk drawers. I painted, right? I cleaned, I did deep cleanings. I wrote, my vision board, right? I did everything because I had this kind of momentum that was
Right.
flowing, right? Because I made a decision to say yes to myself.
Right.
That's thing is saying yes to ourselves because we're worth it, right?
Exactly.
So 20 minutes, 20.
That exercise, let me tell you, that has helped me so much. And when I don't exercise, I feel it. I feel
Mhm.
tired. I am grumpy. And when I just take that 20 minutes and just say I'm going to do it, even if it's like not really what I want to do, I do it
Come
because
on.
I know that it's beneficial for me and that it helps me. Once that
Yes.
20 minutes hit, I'm so excited because now those endorphins are going. Now I'm excited. I'm
Right.
like,
You're
okay,
like, let's do another
I
10
got
minutes.
this, right? And I agree with you. You don't have to do just one thing. You can make it fun for yourself. There are things that I'm not going to do outside of this home or outside of my garage while I'm exercising, but it's
Tell it.
fun when I'm home. Um,
Tell it.
I found a lot of twerk videos and it is
Yeah.
fun. I have to alternate because me and my husband work out together and he doesn't want to do those. So
Right.
we do some cardio, jumping rope. And that's fun too because the kids get active and they come outside and they
Yes.
want to jump
Oh
rope.
my gosh, Crystal.
We're
Yes.
doing or we do jumping jack competitions. Who can do the most jumping jacks? And your 20 minutes is going and you have done a full body workout once you get to 155 jumping jacks.
With a ton of cardio. Come
Yes,
on.
yes, and we have our water right there. So there are so many benefits to exercise, and I want to share that. Research has shown that people who exercise regularly tend to be more resistant to many mental illnesses. So, what problems can exercise help with? Depression, anxiety, substance abuse,
Yes.
difficulty sleeping, stress, physical
Yes.
health, low energy, self-esteem. Exercise is so important and it will help with all of those things that you may be feeling during this quarantine. When you
That's
are
right.
in that depression and you're in that anxiety, getting that 20 minutes of exercise will help to uplift you again and get you out
Yeah.
of that place. Walking, jogging, whatever that may be.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Okay. Couple of things. Number one, I love how you said that there's videos that you're only going to do at home and then that's it. Nobody's going to see you outside. That is
No,
so me.
no.
Every single soca video and dance hall video, I am loving it. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's get it. Let's get it. Make it a little sexy move for my husband.
Right,
That's it. That's
right.
all you going to get. But it's an amazing workout and I'm smiling the
Oh
entire
man.
time. Phenomenal. I'm having a blast. Number two, something amazing that you said also is that you can do this with your kids. When I first learned about this method, I knew that it was extremely important for my daughter to do this with me
Hmm.
because I could teach her this at 12 years old. I can't even imagine where she's going to be in life, what she's going to be able to accomplish, the level of health and mental strength, everything that she is going to have because of this one small gift that I was able to
Right,
model for her. You said it, model for our kids,
right.
right? I was to model this. So every single day as I'm going through this, I'm literally doing this with my daughter. And I could not be more happy to see her doing this because
Right.
she's 12. She's 12. And the amount of growth that she's going to be able to experience through it just does my heart so good
Right.
because she end up being such a strong young woman because of the foundation, right, that we as parents are building for them. And
Right.
that is a blessing in itself.
And they start to look forward to it.
Yes,
They're like,
yes.
is it exercise time?
Come on.
You know, I
Come
have a
on.
16-year-old, almost 17 in a couple of weeks, and he knows when it's exercise time, we're already changed. He goes and changes his clothes and he rides his bike up and down the street while we're working out. And
I
so we're
love
telling them, you are worth it. It is okay to take a break from your work and go outside to take care of yourself just for a
that's
little
right.
bit. And we'll come back in and we'll get right back to work. But they feel so much better when they go out and they come back in and they have more energy to do work.
Come on. Yes. Oh my gosh. God is amazing. He knows. He knows
Absolutely.
what our body needs. He knows all of that. Last thing about exercise, and then I'll move into the next one. Health was a very big desire on my heart, and it's something that I prayed a lot for my husband. Right, we are predisposed, right, to a lot of things on both sides of our families. I know that that's something that I prayed especially for my husband because he does a lot of things, right,
Right.
and so I kept praying. I kept just modeling kind of that behavior and then just saying, God, please. And so one Saturday he woke up and he's like, I'm ready. I had cleaned the gym for him. I had prayed. I had showed him. He was seeing kind of the change in my energy in my body. And one morning he woke up on a Saturday and he said, I'm ready. So we went and we got, weights and we got yoga mats and we got everything and we converted the gym outside. And now he works out in the evening and I work out in the morning and I work out twice a day so that I can work out with him and he can have that accountability partner. It's possible. You can
Yes.
do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. There's nothing to it but to do it. And then once you
Absolutely.
get into that, then you're going to be like on fire, like the amount of energy that you get from it and everything kind of spirals from that as
Right.
well.
Absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
with you. Again, health was a big part of exercise. And I know that if it hadn't been for exercise, that I could possibly be where the doctor said I would be at this time.
Come
And
on.
that is fully disabled. I lost function in my left side 3 years ago. And
Wow.
they told me I couldn't do anything anymore but rest. And of course, I found an alternative to that, and that was water aerobics. And because I wasn't putting the pressure on my joints like I would be on the treadmill. And
Hmm.
as much as it hurt to get in and out of that water, I still had to use a cane and help. I did it and I kept doing it. And all of a sudden, the mobility started to come back. And I am grateful to be able to go outside and have jumping jack competitions with my kids, because there
Fun.
was a time where I couldn't get out of the bed and
Yes.
move. And so I know that had it not been for those little steps of 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, that time of saying, I'm worth it. I know what the doctor says, I know what it looks like, but if I just put some time into me, because I've already put all this stress into everything
Yes.
else, and now this
Everything.
stress has taken over my body, not just my life, but my health. If I
Come on.
just put some of this into me, let's just see where it can go. It can't get no worse, right? I can barely move.
That's right.
And now I'm saying, wow, wow. So when I don't feel like it, that is the best time for me to encourage myself and do it anyway.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Come on, ma'am. Tell them. Tell them. Tell them. Okay, so we talked about exercise, and I
Yep.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so the next R is for reading, right?
Mm,
So this exercising is 20 minutes
okay.
and reading is 20 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Spend 20 minutes just bettering yourself, right? Bettering every area of your life. So I started off with the Miracle Morning, right? I've read Dr. Covey's The Eighth Habit, right?
Nice.
I'm reading prayer. That's really the book that I'm focusing on right now, because as I told you guys, right, that was something that was really important. And so I have felt the Lord just kind of working through this in my prayer life and my discipline. But 20 minutes a day where you
Mm,
can say, I'm going to better myself. If you want to get your finances better, learn about that. If you want to grow
yeah.
as a leader, right, read about leadership. If you want to, grow, right, as a business owner, right, all of these things. 20 minutes 20 minutes where you can sharpen your mind and implement those things, where you are not right focused on anything else but just your own personal development. 20 minutes,
That's
and after
excellent.
you've got
Right.
your blood pumping, right,
Right.
then you've got 20 minutes to kind of take that in.
Excellent. My book is, I'm rereading The Purpose Driven Life. I hope I said that right.
Yes, oh, yes, 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 that's on my list. How's
Yeah.
it going for you?
Oh, it's great. We read it years before. My husband and I, we read it together, and I am now rereading it. And it's so funny when you reread something. I'm not really a big person on reading a book again,
Right.
but it's so funny because
Except
I'm
the Bible.
reading this book again, and there are things I'm like, wait, I don't remember any of this.
So good.
And maybe that's because I was, 10 years younger.
Right.
And so my
Right.
life was different, and it
Yes.
didn't it didn't speak to me the way it does now.
That's
You know, 19 years in it together now is way different from when we were 2 years on marriage and reading this to help us grow versus
oh,
now. So it's
so good.
very, very, it's really good. And then I'm also reading God Can We Talk 31 marriage prayers by a good friend of mine, Camille Jean. And I said that I was going to share this with you. God Can We Talk? And it's
Love it.
31 marriage prayers. So I'm doing the purpose driven life for myself. And then I'm also reading the marriage prayers for my marriage, because I think it's very important to continue to pour into our marriages as well as ourselves.
That's
We're
exactly
worth it.
right. Yes, I love that. I love that. I do. I feel like marriage is a whole nother
A
conversation. We
whole
can
nother one.
talk
And
about
definitely, we will have to come back and talk about marriage, especially during the quarantine.
that. Okay. Okay, so we talked about reading, right? So that was
Right.
20 minutes. So then the last one that we have, so I'm going to recap, okay? So we've gone over the Savers life routine. S is for silence,
Mm-hmm.
right? A is for affirmation.
Right.
V is for visualization. Each of those are 5 minutes, right? Then we have exercise for 20 minutes, and then we have reading for 20 minutes. And then our last one on our miracle or morning miracle routine is S for scribing. And this has really turned into just one of my favorite things to do every single morning, really kind of tracking my journey, right? I have really enjoyed this time with the Lord. You journal for 5 minutes, but honestly, I end up spending a little bit more.
Yeah.
This entire process for me has been about really deepening my prayer life and my self-discipline. And so my scribing or my journaling has turned into a prayer journal. So I'm able to really talk about my day, right? I'm able to talk about my growth, my prayers, my goals. I really seek the Lord out a lot to just line me up to his will. If there's things that pop up, right, that I know that's something that's an ugly thought or an ugly feeling, I really ask the Lord. I write that down so that I can kind of, put some thought into it and process those things and really move in the right direction. And I have been able to see God move.
Yeah.
I truly, truly have. I have throughout this entire process, like I told you guys, discipline, health, family, and friendships, right? Those were things that I really was asking the Lord. And so in every part of this routine, I would really affirm those things, right? And I would think about those things, I would read those things, I would journal about those things, and I've seen God move from, spending more family time together, not with my immediate family, but with my parents and my brothers who live in a different city. My prayer life for my husband, right, for his health to be something that was a priority for him. That was a huge thing for me. Really making sure that that as much as he poured in and took care of everybody else, right, the corporate world, two of our personal businesses, right, ministry, his kids. He's an amazing dad. He pours into everybody, but I wanted him to pour into him, right? To answer that, even down to something super duper small. One day where he had come outside and I told you the story, Crystal. He was, talking about something that I was just like, oh my gosh, here we go again, right? We're going to be talking about this thing. But I listened, I said, And then at the end of it, right, I just wrote it down in my journal and I was like, okay, God, please help me, right? Help me, make sure that, I support, but help my heart, right? Because I really need your guidance in this. And that evening, I ended up reading a devotional, right, that was talking about really listening and empathetic listening, right? At first, I just thought, oh, well, this is not me because I'm a great listener. I listen to everybody, and and I listen great, And the Holy Spirit just hit me like a ton of bricks, and He's like, no, I'm talking to you. And so I read this that was associated to it. I ended up reading the entire chapter, and everything that my husband was talking about that he desired to do was what Paul was talking about in that specific chapter as well. And I said this to you before, and I really want to say it again, that had I not stilled myself enough, right, during this time, my life previously, right, was super duper busy, everything going, right, moving a million miles an hour. Had I not made the decision for myself to say, I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to take 1 hour for myself to better myself mentally, spiritually, right, physically, emotionally, I'm going to still myself so that I can hear the voice of God. If I'm really feeling like my discipline is lacking and my prayer life is clogged, what am I going to do about that, right? Had I not been able to go through this process, I feel like so many of the answers that God was giving me and how He was prompting me and talking to me throughout the day, I wouldn't even have the energy to process them, the spiritual ears to understand them, right? The direction, the stillness, right? He talks to you in a still small voice, and whether you turn right or left, He's there giving you direction. But if I'm not processing enough, to journal it, to really kind of gear and have that moment with Him, how am I really going to hear that? And so this 1 hour routine has helped me in every single one of those areas because I made the decision, right, to do 1 hour for myself. Everything has bettered from that 1 hour. Give myself, my marriage, right? My home, right? Taking care of my home, painting, decorating, doing all these things. That's the gift that I talked about, during this time. I made the decision to grow through this time, right? Instead of going through it and something beautiful came out of it. Such a gift. I want every single woman to be able to see this as an opportunity to say, I am going to, even though we are going through this quarantine time, even though there's so much uncertainty, so much unknown, we fear for our children. You know, we might fear for our own safety, right? We are concerned about bills and our mortgages and our rent and our jobs and what's going to happen, right? I believe that God wants to use that time, use our thoughts to grow us so that we can bloom in
Yes.
adversity,
Yes.
right? The most beautiful of things bloom in adversity, right?
Right.
What are we going to choose? These tools are just that, tools,
Right.
unless we use them and we implement them. But something beautiful can grow on the other side of that if we just say yes and
Yes.
allow God to work in our lives.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. I've been using it too. I have been using it, and each and every the savers, silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. I just got this new journal again from Camille Jean, one of my good friends, the George Journal, and I've been
Yes.
using that time to write. I love to write, so I have about 20 different journals that I write in, but they're all for different things, and I find that time to be so relaxing, and that's where I get to really pour out what I am thinking and leave it there. And then I come back, and it's just like, okay, right. I was able to process it. So that scribing is important. I think every tool that you've shared from what you've learned is so important as we go through this time. And I
Yeah.
think that people can truly benefit from using lifesavers to help save their lives.
Yes, I agree.
I thank you so much for sharing this, and
Yes,
using
but
your story, and really, it's one thing when we find something and we share it with someone else, but when we can show them how it has helped us help in our lives and how it has transformed things for us, it's very different, because you become more relatable, and people are saying, well, if she can do this, if she wears all those hats every single day, as pastor, as wife, as mom, as friend, as sister, as all of these things,
yeah,
and still find time 1 hour in a day to do something for herself, I can do it too.
come
I can do
on.
it too.
That's
And
right.
I'm standing here with you, um, saying that I do it too. And
Yeah,
I get it. I have 3 kids, a husband, and so much going on. But when I took time to use lifesavers for myself, it transformed where I was going. I
yeah,
wasn't just going through the motions, but really growing through it. And I find that purpose again, and I love it. I love
me
it.
too. I I'm super duper grateful for this opportunity. I am praying, and I know that what you are doing, the platform that you have created, your voice, right, your gift is so necessary. And I just want to say, keep going. Absolutely keep going. You are needed. You are needed to help women. You are needed to encourage women. You are needed to love on women. You are needed to give them the tools and to let them know that it is absolutely possible to accomplish these things. I think that this story right now is not a unique one, right?
Right, right.
But the fact that we can be real and transparent and share that is so absolutely beautiful. Even the
Absolutely.
ugliness, even all of it, right, is beautiful.
Yes.
And it's because of your platform. It's because of Miski Talk that we were able to share this. So I'm ever so grateful. I really am.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I know there's more to come. Like we talked about, there's some other subjects that we could talk
Come
about.
on.
So I thank you for this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm here always, 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 always. I'm definitely going to be watching. I'm going to keep watching, and I've already subscribed. So if
Yes,
you haven't subscribed, then I suggest that you guys do. Absolutely.
absolutely. See, I told you that was going to be good. I hope that you took notes. If you didn't, I'm going to repeat what she told you right now. So go get your piece of paper and pencil and write down savers. This is lifesavers. And we talked about silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing. Those are the tools that she has been using during this time to help her have a healthy routine, and it has worked for her, and I believe it can work for you too. This is all from The Morning Miracle by Hal Elroy, and I hope that you can use these tools also to help you in your day-to-day life. I also shared a book. This is a good friend of mine, Camille Jean. If you're looking for something to read during this time, this is God Can We Talk? 31 Marriage Prayers. Go ahead, go on Amazon and get this book. I guarantee if you're married, this is an awesome book. Go ahead and purchase it and give Camille a shout out. Camille Jean, we thank you. The S was for scribing. That's journaling. Guess what? Camille wrote a book for that too. Journaling. The Joy of Journal. You can use this book in your time of journaling to write down what you want to say and what you need to do for yourself. She also has some other helpful things in this book. So that is the Joy Journal, and God Can We Talk by Camille Jean. Right? You see them? Go on YouTube and go ahead and purchase them. Good job, girl. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope you were blessed as much as I was blessed by it. And I'll be back for more. It's all about us growing and elevating and excelling together. We have the power to create change in our life. And I hope that these tools and the things that you've learned are helping you to change in your life. Be blessed. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's do this together. I love you, and I'm glad that you're joining me. Have a blessed day.